All right, good afternoon, everybody. Andrew here again. Going to do another radar update for December 9th, 2024. And I'm going to jump right into it. I hope you guys enjoyed that last one. I sure did, actually. It was really nice to explain some of the setups, and especially with Pepe, for example, and some of the stocks, talking it out with you guys as opposed to trying to type it out. So that was great. So I'm gonna do that again, and I think I'm gonna probably do this at least once or twice a week, honestly, unless it's really slow or some other things with work or taking some of my time. But anyway, I want to start with SQ or Square or Block, I should call it, I guess. And I want to talk about what it looks like on the weekly here. So obviously everything took off during the 2020-2021 run and then fell back down. And here's another example where it goes into a large range for quite some time. This was something that Chris actually brought up when it started dipping down here. So, if you guys were a part of that, you probably remember that, obviously. But look at this range here and exactly how long it is. So June 2022, all the way to really current, but it's kind of starting to pop out of it now. So I just, again, want to let you guys know, when you zoom out, look for these ranges. These ranges are great. They're not like, 100% going to go up every time, but they do give us some idea on what is happening, whether, like what direction is probably going to be going, right? So had this, for example, here. So we got this range, it drops down, does the V pattern, goes right into a Wyckoff here. Okay, so we look for that. So I got the orange dotted, boom here, got the ABC, and then, got another ABC down to kind of finish it off. And I want you guys to see on the weekly, you got this, I think if you zoom in, it actually, oops, sorry there, I'm not sure what's going on. I think if we zoom in here, it actually shows, maybe not. I thought there was a bull div here, but there's not. But just this engulfing candle here is such a key indicator. I think Chris even brings it up too. Gosh, I'm not sure why that's happening. Another thing too that I actually did was I made the screen larger, so I hope you guys can see the pricing a little bit better. So anyway, V pattern into the Wyckoff range. We talk about this a bit for a wave two. Okay, so the orange dotted line was holding support, broke down, broke back up, went back into the range. I think we talked about this last time. And then boom, we tapped it one more time for that wave two, and now we're pumping through. That's in itself possibly a spring type right there as well. It was around an earnings call, so that's important. Definitely look at those earnings and make sure if you're making decisions, like is earnings close by or not. You can see sometimes the earnings calls can kind of justify the price a little bit, and essentially because people are either jumping or jumping out around the earnings call. So I think we all kind of understand that, but sometimes I think maybe as new traders you might not realize that. So obviously here, earnings call came in and it really popped up, right? It doesn't need to be green or red, honestly. I mean, in most cases you want it to obviously be green, but in some cases you can see it, red could, very well make it jump. Like right here is kind of red, but it kind of still kind of went up a little bit. So, um, but yeah, good earnings call here, and then it went to a bad earnings call. So you can see there's just movement around that. But then good earnings call, good earnings call. So a good earnings call here, but still goes down. So that's why I say it's not really something that we try to trade. I'm bringing it up to point out that it's something you should also look for, right? In the chart, we have a lot of tools that we use, pivots, obviously key. I talked about that. Talked about moving averages on larger time frames. This is the weekly. That's a good indicator on what's happening. I'll tell you right now, that 50-day, what is it doing? It's curling. Okay, that's nice. I like to see curling at 50 MA. What was it doing here? It was curling, starting to curl down as we started to go down. Now it's lagging, of course. Obviously, we started breaking down, but you can see, hitting, break down, then it starts to follow it. So what are we doing here? Hitting, going up. Now it's starting to follow it. So again, it's a visual thing for me. It's not something I trade off of, but I like to see it. The 200, just, sometimes that's, here it's obviously flat because it ranged out, but not really too concerned about that too much. But as you can see, though, it's probably going to, if this continues up, this will probably cross at some point. Anyway. So it taps here on the orange dotted as support. And then we got the 1, 2. It looks like we're working on a 3, and normally a 3 will take us out, But there could be like another inner count here. I was kind of zooming in. It's a little bit difficult with this 1, 2, 1, 2 kind of scenario, but got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then a larger 3 here. So I think what's happening is it's like going through a 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna have a 4 and then a 5, and then we're gonna come back to it again. But that's way out. I don't want to use that as my exact trade. But I do want to bring up again the fact that we pull out these this green box, right? And you can see, always look left. It's so important to look left here. It comes up, kind of holds it, breaks down, resistance, resistance, resistance. It hits it 3 times and then it's like, nope. That was that, March 2020 area. We all know what that was. And then that's what popped up. Well, here it is again. Tests that support, got a bounce, but not enough, broke through. Now we're doing that resistance tap again, resistance tap. See how we got that V here, got that V here. So it's charting is a lot of kind of just looking for patterns. There's a lot going on with charting, but as you keep diving into it, you will start to see these things and say, oh, look, what happened when we broke out here? We kept going. Well, what's it starting to do here? It looks very similar in a way where it's breaking out, kind of holding it. So again, we're coming up, got the wave 2, working on the wave 3, breaking up through that. Okay, some nice large candles. Okay, so this makes me happy. I was gonna be in square, to be honest with you, and I was actually looking for a pullback and I missed it. Gosh, it happens a lot, to be honest with you, but it's okay because this right here is actually giving me more confidence when it right here coming in right here. Okay, especially with this S1, confidence levels are they're not that great because you're thinking it could keep coming down in this S1 and it doesn't, and then you're like, whoa, what's really happening here? But see here, when it's passing through the green on these larger candles, my confidence level is actually greater now than it was back here. Okay, so another thing, Chris says a lot of things, and sometimes we don't understand why. Don't have to get the bottom to make money. Don't have to hit the top, to sell out. You know what I mean? You want to catch where there's more confidence in the trade. It's so important. Okay. Not a lot of confidence here because I'm thinking S1. More confidence here because we're breaking through resistance. Okay. So what do I want to see next? I want to see it tap and hold as support. Now it's a box, it's not a line. Okay, so that doesn't mean there's going to be an exact point. So it's not like it comes here and you're just longing like a crazy man because you think it's going to go up. No, it's an area of support and resistance. Okay, difference. It's not a support line where you would need to have like 3 taps or something like that to really find that. You might be able to do this possibly. Let's see. I just thought of this right now as I was talking. See, it doesn't really hit it right there. I don't know why that line is teal. It's probably because I was doing something with teal. It's like orange. It's funny. I got the black and orange going like it's Halloween all the time. Yeah, see, it doesn't even really hit it. So that's that's somewhat support, but again, or resistance support, but it's not really. So that's why I like that green area. It just gives me a good area to look for. Again, this is the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, like the 3. So here, the 3 is telling me that it's right around here. Sometimes if you can't identify the count, just look for the larger candle spread and the larger volume. Because then I was like, okay, there's a 1, 2, 3, probably 4, 5. Okay. Hopefully my computer's not screwing up here. Anyway, so that's that. That's how I look at Square right now. So this is on the radar for me. This is a radar update. So when I say radar updates, those are already on the radar, but I'm kind of updating you guys as I go to talk it through. So I'm looking for a nice pullback, and I want to see some, probably zoom in on the dailies and look at that too. You see it hitting R1, so but maybe back to the pivot, right? In this case, if it does go back, but there's that 3, so 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2. Kind of an odd count here. It's a little choppy, to be honest with you, as it goes up. So it's not exactly that clear. So I just want to find that entry point. It could be back at this pivot because this is the daily and it is pretty early in the month still, being the 9th. That's probably an opportunity there if you want to trade this. But I really want to see how the Stochn RSI and RSIs are kind of starting to curl down. So I really want to see kind of those things reset first, and then maybe this regular RSI come down to maybe, I don't know, mid range, the EQ. So looking for that kind of support here to jump in on something like this. Okay, I'm not trading stocks like I trade crypto. That's just the bottom line. But I do like to have some stocks going when I see a good value, and I definitely see some value here in block. So again, this was obviously the bottom. This was the 1, 2. So it's really like a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you rock in. So that's kind of that. All right, MicroStrategy. Excuse me, MicroStrategy. Okay, I'm gonna go to a local daily count here. I want to show you guys something. I think Chris was talking about this being like a triangle. So an A, B, C, D, E. So that's obviously a 4. Okay, triangles are 4s, guys. Don't forget if you're new. If you aren't new and you know that, then whatever. So we got this kind of like long just grind up, right? And then it really starts to move up. And so the 1, 2 is probably in here, and then it really starts. I mean, when it's moving like this, the pullbacks are tiny. This is obviously this rolls with Bitcoin, of course. But look what's happening here. Okay, now again, if you're new to Elliott Wave, you should think about like A, B's and C's and 3s, 4s and 5s, like the counting of it. If you obviously have been learning a lot about Elliott Wave, you should see this and be like, wait a minute, this looks like 1, 2, 3 or an ABC, and then an ABC for a B up, and then look at the pivot. So again, I mean, I keep saying this. I don't know why I double clicked there. Okay, I'm looking at this. I'm like, ooh, maybe it's a triangle, right? Or I don't know. Maybe you might be thinking that, or throwing some lines up. But then you throw the pivots on. You're like, wait a minute. I don't think this is a triangle. And it's starting to break down right here. This is definitely corrective because look how close it is. It's basically about to come under this B here. So this is a 1, 2, 3, and if it starts breaking down and then it hit the 5, this thing's corrective. So. And then you can see this daily that we're getting right now is pushing through the pivot pretty strong. So the pivot was kind of holding up as support, resistance, support. Like right here, like went up and then went back down, and it did go up, and then it went. It looks like maybe it was like Thursday, like some evening, some evening buying. Anyway, and then it was kind of holding. Anyway, what I'm trying to say, sorry, I'm mumbling. I'm rambling, I should say. It's starting to break down and it's starting to get heavy in the candle. It's not even wicking, right? And there's not that much time left in the day. So this is looking like it's wanting to come down. I'll be honest with you guys. And MicroStrategy moves with Bitcoin. So what does that tell us? Well, there's probably some more downside coming in the markets. And I've been talking about downside in January, and that, you know, money's coming off the table, right? It doesn't have to happen right in January. It doesn't even have to happen at all, technically. But that's my thought. I'm really sticking to that pretty strong. And the more we watch this and this daily starts to really come down, the more I think could have a little bit of time. Like, you know, if this really starts to shoot down, what's it probably going to do? It's probably going to want to fill this gap. That's my first thought. Okay, is it going to fill the gap or not? It might. It probably will. It makes sense right there. Right? So that's a good target spot. You know, 280. It's 288. Oh, by the way, thanks for the feedback. To speak, obviously, the pricing. I got to get good at. I got to start remembering to say that. So, 288 range. I'm gonna always say range because I never know exactly, but 288, 283, somewhere right around there. So 288, 283. That would be where I would be looking at. I can only speak for myself again. But so it'd be an ABC. But I'll tell you this, I'm looking how this counts down. Okay, what do I mean by that? How does this count down? Is this going to shoot down, you know, quickly? Or is there going to be some, you know, a little balance, whatever? And then are we getting, because I'm ultimately thinking that we're going to go to the S1. If we lose it and we lose this swing low here, which it looks like we're going to some point, not a guarantee, but it's definitely looking better and better. You know, we should start seeing this come down. So, you know, if you're in like maybe doing options or, you know, recalls and puts and things of that nature, if you wanted to like do that, you know, you could probably call something. I mean, maybe you could try to hover around, you know, 230 or something. I don't know. I'm not really into that. So again, I'm not trying to give anybody advice to do or to buy. Always seek, you know, a financial advisor to do that. I am not one. But just from what I experienced and what I've learned in charting, that's the kind of direction we're looking at here. So I wanted to bring that up. You know, right now it's actually right at that key level. So it's, you know, kind of interesting how it's going to close out the day. So there might be some overnight trading here to kind of pop it back up. I would like it to see go past the pivot, of course, if it's going to have some higher upside. But right now, that's kind of my thoughts here. You do see though that there is this little bundle of candles here, so it's going to find some support there most likely. So then, you know, if you want to throw up some lines, maybe you think, okay, well, if it's not a triangle, which I don't think it is it possibly like maybe a wedge or something, right? You never know. So something like that. So it comes down and meets some of these candles. That could be your ABC. I don't know. So then from there, you see some support. Maybe it gets a bounce. It kind of keeps breaking down. Then again, you know, start adding what you need to add as far as your tools. I'm a big firm believer of actually I always say when in doubt, channel out. Let's see. So I'll go like something like this. I always like to look at the EQ when I do that. Is it really kind of having support or resistance at the EQ? And it kind of looks like it might be. So, and you can see here as you start to break down, we'll probably find some support. But ultimately, it really does look like if we were to hit the bottom of this channel, if this was a channel, I don't know, that you can see it right in that gap. So anyway, hopefully that helps there. You guys again make your own decisions. Your money, your decision. That's MicroStrategy for me. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here. It could be for a while, guys. It could come down the S1. It could take a while. It could, you know, people could just be taking more off the table, you know, going in the S1. What are MAs at? Our MAs are in an area where it probably would go to if it's going to meet the MA. And this is on the daily. You know, daily MA is okay. I don't really, again, I like the 3-day. 3 days always good. That's another one too. Look at that 3-day candle. Yeah. It's definitely wanting to push down. I look at those RSIs too, and boy, look at them RSIs, right? Wanting to shoot down. So looks like some downside. It's okay, right? Hopefully some of you guys, if you're in this, probably made some money. I mean, look at all these 3 days going up. By the way, look at as it starts. So if you can really think about emotions for a second, you know, these are 3 days. So this is like, you know, last week, even like 2 weeks ago, approximately, because this is obviously Monday, so last week Wednesday, and then so this is like when everyone was when obviously right when prices were really going up. Yeah, what is this? November 8th, November 13th. Yeah, so all November. This is why we want to sell. I'm going to tell you right now. This is why I sell into these things. Okay, larger candle spreads, right? A larger volume, larger candle spreads. That's selling into what everyone's actually buying into or wanting to buy, right? You're going to sell into that. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I bought the wrong time. And then they start selling. And that's why this thing really starts to come down. Okay. So that's what happens there. All right. Another STEM update, STEM, real quickly. Remember I talked about a channel here inside the channel. This is the 1 hour, by the way. And then I thought, well, this is probably not. I think I was thinking this was a flat. It's not definitely now because we're breaking down here. So we're breaking down below this swing low. So actually looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is A, and I can see like 5 down here. It's kind of a weird count, but I think I can get it. So 1, 2, 3. I got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, and then right here 1. It's a little tricky right here because it gets a little cluttered up, but I can get the 5 down here. I just got to dive into it. But then I got the A, B, C up here for B, and then so here we got the A, B, and then 1, 2, working on the 3, 4, and hopefully like kind of finishing off right around here. So that was a nice little candle right there with some like better volume. This was a big volume candle to bring us down. So people are probably looking at this as like, let's try to keep it, let's try to short it down some more, I'm thinking. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, I told you that I had some lines in the sand personally. This is starting a new week. So there's new pivots, right? Hourly pivots. And we're struggling to get over the S1 right now. And I'll tell you right now, it concerns me a bit. Okay. The pivots are a little tighter. Sometimes they'll be a little bit farther apart from each other. Right now, they're a little bit tighter. So if this does break down, I really would like to see it kind of spike back up again. Okay, really soon, really soon. Like I know we're ending the day today, so I don't know what's going to happen overnight. But tomorrow I want to see something coming up pretty soon. I don't want this to take too long because if this is a range, we're looking for like kind of that spring. And if we don't really get it right away, then maybe it's not a spring. There's also remember that where the supply demand's at down here. And then there's those levels, the 705 level pullback and the 786 level pullback. And we just barely were like right above 705 and actually could have hit it because I don't know, my lines are perfect, but it's basically hitting it. So ideally, you'd like to see it like, build some strength here and start to run up again. That'd be sweet. So I'm thinking it could. I mean, it really could. It does look like it. It does look like it wants to find something, but we're just going to have to be a little bit patient here and then look for these key levels. Again, if we start breaking down, though, S2, S3, you can see I marked the all-time low so I don't forget where it's at on the hourly because it's way over here to the left. So I just have it here. Obviously, I don't want to come down here. So anyway, that's where I'm at on STEM. I'm just going to kind of let it be for now. Okay, Bitcoin. This is my look at it. I know this like Triangle City, right? Wedges and triangles and then what have you. It's all over the place. Right. I want to talk a little bit, and I'm sure Chris is about to post something here soon. It's like he usually posts around this time. So I'm sure he's going to talk about this count. Obviously, I'm not going to, I follow his count, of course, but I do want to talk about this 4-hour candle. Okay. So this was like a Wyckoff distribution for sure because it went up and then it retested one more time and it really shot down. So that's where, after you saw this engulfing, I just wanted to let you guys know this bearish engulfing and then it kind of found support at this bottom of this red. I don't know if you guys can see this. There's like a red range here. I told you that I changed the colors, so it's right in there. And it got engulfed here and then it tried to find support at the pivot and then it broke down and then everyone was like, oh, try to pump it back in maybe because they found some support here. But boy, oh boy, that was really actually a spot for shorting, honestly, as you can see. So that is an indicator in the way this is developing. Obviously, now it's starting. We can see it now going down. But when this was happening, I was like, oh, I almost thought to do a quick scalp short, short scalp, but I'm not going to mess around now. It's just too much going on with all this chop here. So I'm just going to let things play out, right? That's what we got to do. I mean, we had a really good couple weeks. Well, we had a really great November, honestly. So I'll tell you guys right now, I've done this before where I've had a really good couple weeks, and then I start to like kind of chip away at that, losing it, and it sucks, because you're like, man, I'm so good, and now why am I kind of putting it back to try to just grab something quickly, let the dust settle a little bit, right? Just let things kind of work out, right? And that's the key component here. But I will tell you this S1 looks really good. Okay, it does. Chris is probably gonna talk about it too, I'm guessing. But you can see there's nice wicks in here, and this is obviously wicked with a lot of volume. That was clear. But it's an area where you can kind of say that, yeah, there's probably some support here, right around here. So yeah, so look at that. So again, looking left, but right at the S1. So I mean, that's why I say, guys, watch for the S1. It's not just because it's the pivot; it's also has some more attached to it, right? It's all this back here. So if you're looking at wanting to jump in, if you were, you would, maybe you want to look around this area. I don't know. It's up to you. But I might be. I don't know. I'm not sure yet here. I want to see. Realistically, I want to see how it reacts. Is this a triangle? I don't know. It could be. It looks like a 1, 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2, and then a 3, and then it'd go. So like what it might do, we're getting the updates right now that Chris has posted, and he's probably going to start the class here soon. Something like this. I don't know, something like that. Okay, I don't know, just a thought. So like write the A, B, C, D, E scenario. It works. I mean, it works within the pivots. It's. I would rather it be on the R1 the pivot side instead of this side if I'm trying to be bullish, right? I will tell you this though, guys. Just from charting, seeing it hit the pivot and watching how it reacts there, it's something to look for. Okay, so there's definitely some people coming in and shorting this. So again, remember, if people are coming and shorting here, they're thinking like, ooh, it's a good short. There's a good short spot here. That's probably the thought process. So we'll see how this plays out. That's just an idea. That's what I think is probably gonna happen. But this green is pretty good support. That's one. All right, I'm going to move to TRU because this was brought up. Gosh, I apologize. I can't remember who I was talking about this. But I think that Chris has been talking about True also. I like to see. I like this actually. So this is on the 3-day. It started rolling up here, and it looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe. And it goes in this really good range here. And then I told you that I use teal to kind of, it's for compression wedges. So it's not like wick to wick, but when you look at it, it really does look like price is really trying to stick to this range or this area, this wedge. So that's why I'll color coordinate. So I'm not like necessarily like trading the breakout because it's not support on the wick exactly. But I do like to see how it works out. So, and look at this right here. Okay, so here's the bottom wick. I'm going to show you guys something. Where's my stupid arrow? Anyway. Okay, what do we see there? All right. Excuse me. And then what do we see there? And then what do we see here? Ah, the volume drop. I like this a lot. Why do I like this a lot? Because volume showed up, pushed it up, came back down, less volume, pushed it back up again, came down again. Again, no one shows up to the party, and it just flies. Okay, no one is coming in at this point and selling. They are clearly coming in and buying. Okay, so and then like the next candle is like engulfing here, and then volume just really kicks up. This is huge. This is a great sign of a reversal, in my opinion. And this looks like a 1-2. Okay, so 1-2, 1-2, 3, 4, 5 probably, and then 4, and then 5, and then we got our wave 1 out of this. So there's a little bit of time here. This is why I talk about December, January, February. There's going to be a lot of chop probably, most likely. But that's great to see. But eventually, if this is obviously Wyckoff, and this is a nice reaccumulation range, we'll eventually get that pop out of this range. So this is definitely on the radar. I like how you guys are bringing up things like this and like saying, hey, what about this? This is great because I can't obviously see everything. And when you guys see these things and remind me, like, oh yeah, that's right. TRU was something that we had talked about. If you're looking for an entry, maybe you look for this EQ. I look at this EQ and see, oh look, support, resistance, oh back up, support, resistance, 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 resistance. Oh look, support. So I mean, and it's between R1 and pivot. So it's to me like hit the pivot, wake up, call it a day. That's me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. But I just wanted to point out how this looks. It looks great to me. Looks really good actually. To keep moving up. I think there was a something on the show in the 4 hour. So locally, it's funny because when I pulled this up earlier, it didn't really have much of this candle yet. When we were talking about this in our group channel, I said, "Gosh, I really apologize who this was." We were talking about this, but it was coming down, and then we were like, "Is this a triangle?" And I was like, "Well, I could see it being a triangle, but then I was like, well, it kind of looks like a B, than a C for a B. So like a triangle to come up for overall B, right? So an A, B. Sometimes the triangles are tricky because you got to make sure you're counting it right, right? So anyway, I can see A, B, C, D, E, and then up, and then come down. So that's where this is really more of like a distribution, okay? And then you can see here, it's perfect. It being right at the pivot, and then there was that candle here. So this was like that fake out breakout kind of deal, and then look how much price was under the EQ also. See all that time under the EQ? It spent a lot of time on it. It wasn't really under there here. I mean, it was here, then it came up just for a little bit, and then really spent most of the time on the bottom part of the channel. So when it came back up and went back down, that's like, okay, yeah, this is not wanting to go up. And then it broke down, within the weekly change of the pivots, and then it found it as resistance. So it's like, okay, that's probably a short in my opinion, especially after this next one. You get this wick, and then you get this, yeah, yeah, and then S1 now it's bouncing off the S1. I will show you this though. I pull fibs right at the 50. That's kind of nice because I think that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3, 4. So I believe that we could have another run to the R1, 4, 5. Actually, it might even be up here to this one. There's my wave 3 overall. So because this is a bigger 1, 2, so this is going to be like your 3, your bigger like 3. So we're building up that 3, So I can see this going up. Actually, I can see this bouncing. I just don't know. It needs to obviously find some support, but right now it's not. Leaving it here around this area is kind of like, okay, is it corrective? I don't know. But again, this is why we like to find those larger like the beginnings of threes, because it's so much easier. But as we get closer to the top of threes, you really got to be cautious and careful because you can get chopped out pretty easily. And that's what's kind of happening here. So, and this is a 4 hour, and this candle, this is only 1 hour into the candle, and this is really looking pretty heavy. So, I don't know. Downside looks a little bit like it's happening. This was the 4, so it can definitely come down even as low as here, but that's pretty deep. And look, it's literally breaking down right now, and it's not really finding support. So there it goes. Yeah. So anyway, that was kind of like, so I was wanting to like notice you guys. So look, the key here is if you thought it was going up and then you were wrong, well, like maybe if you can try to teach your mind how to figure out like, why am I wrong, and maybe this is actually a short opportunity. If you like to go short, if you swing, right? If you go, long and short, maybe you can find that instead. Okay, because that was like your first key. Okay, was right here, right? That was the B. Okay, because you have to draw this range and you have to understand how range works, right? So why you in TWC are learning just like I am. I'm still learning, by the way. But yeah, so right here, boom, comes through, and then that was your like, okay, that's your confidence level in this case, right? So I mean, gosh, if you were to came here and you were shorted this, I mean, you got at least to the S1, but this is a 4 hour candle, and now it's getting, it's hammering now. So it's probably going to come into this area here. I'm going to take these fibs away for a second. So this is like a nice little area here. So let's see, this is kind of check it out and see real quick. We got the candle like literally going into that right now. So I just want to kind of do it right there. So all I did was literally just look left here, guys. Okay, it wasn't really like rocket science at all, and just I'm looking for see this, like this wick here, and then this, see how this breaks through and then comes back down, and wick, and then breaks back up again. You see that? So look at these big candles right here. It's really trying to shoot through this. This is like support resistance. Okay. So if we break down, then this might end up being resistance for even farther downside. Okay. So clearly the market is like, again, people are like right now looking at this like, oh my gosh, are we topping? And that's why you're starting to get this pretty crazy dump. I should probably look at Bitcoin for a second. Okay, so it's hitting that green on Bitcoin and it's almost to the S1. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Guys, don't, look at Bonk, 24% down. Oh boy. When I have this thought when I think that Bitcoin is probably, when it gets up like really crazy, like who knows, maybe it goes to like 200,000-300,000 one day. I'm sure, who knows, right? But I always think like, gosh, how is the alt's gonna react? It's gonna be really crazy. That's a lot of money, obviously, diving into it. But boy, look at this percentages today. I almost said something on TWC about this being a red week. I was like, this feels like we're going into a correctional week. So just said something. Either way. So look, all right, here's back to Bitcoin, and it's funny. You guys are probably in the class right now. That's hilarious. I'll probably jump in literally while I'm on here. And he's probably talking about this, I'm guessing. What's today? Today's Wyckoff. Yeah. And boy, look at that. Look at this already, right? It's starting to find something. And what did I do? I drew this line here, okay? And I don't know if that's going to be there or not, but just look left, right? Look for these areas. Look for these supports, possible supports, okay? Let's go back to true. Man, it blew down there. Look what it did, though. But this isn't, alt versus Bitcoin. It's, how it goes, guys, right? We all know this.
But it really did blow through this though. And I just realized my VRPN was off, or VP. So, that is interesting how it kind of blew through it. But I'll tell you guys right now, look at this. It's Monday, the pivot's just reset, and we're blasting through S1 right now. Okay. When you have that kind of movement early in the week, I mean, depending on, this could go to S3, S4. I'm not kidding you. And that's very interesting because, when you kind of pull up to the 1-1 or the 1-2-3-6, that kind of shows us that, like, let's say a price were to break down here, I would actually see this as an ABC. All right. I could see that. That's those levels that make me think it's actually corrective up and then it's coming back down. Now, I'm not saying that's happening right now, but I'll just start telling you, like, early in the week, okay, early in the week and pivots on the hourly especially, look how price is working the pivots like on Monday and Tuesday. Okay. I'll tell you a lot of times that helps you identify what the rest of the week most likely will be. It really does. It does work out. Like, maybe make some notes and say, okay, right now we're seeing sharp decline in price, and we're running through the S1 hourly S1. So, let's see how this week's going to turn out. Are we going to go all the way down or not? I don't know. Right now we're finding that support like we talked about, so that's pretty solid. But it's got a lot of work still. I mean, this was a big hit to come down. If this thing were to wick all the way back up above the S1, that's pretty solid. I will tell you this though, looking at the RSIs, that's pretty sweet. That's what you want to see. You want to see reset in the RSIs too. So, hey, we'll see what happens there. My gosh, it's been 40 minutes. So yeah, Bitcoin bouncing what we talked about right at the S1. Guarantee you, Chris is talking about this right now. I don't know. I'm not in there. Probably should say something. Oh, okay. So, XRP. Okay, XRP. Everyone's talked about XRP. Everyone hates on it, whatever. First of all, I'm going to tell you guys, I just did this recently. So I had some XRP and I sold some from a long time ago. It was so quick and easy to transfer XRP. So quick. It's like instant. It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely a fan of that. Okay. When in doubt, channel out. I did this channel when we started getting this wick right here at the $2.60. Right. The pivots weren't moved over yet, so this was on Sunday for me. I was like, that's when I got out, like, on some old XRP I've had a long time ago. And I was like, yeah, I just feel like this. I didn't like this count, you know what I mean? So I threw a channel up. I'm like, yeah, I can see this, maybe coming down. And sure enough, look at it did. So I want to show you guys, obviously, when in doubt, channel out, number one. Number two, look for support right here at this little triangle. I have this like orange line from I don't know where. It's probably on the daily. Get rid of that for a second. But so I wanted to kind of show you guys that this is now I'm thinking, okay, obviously it broke down. It's like, okay, right now we can look at this being corrected. Is this going to bounce back up? Well, I do this channel. This channel was not, it was already here. This hadn't even come down here yet. I did it from here. So you can see how well channels work. Okay. Draw a channel out and you can tell, it doesn't always work that way, but look what's happening right now. Now it's like, okay, maybe this channel is legit, right? That's definitely adding more confidence to me in this channel. And if it breaks out of the channel, well, there you go. So it came down really quickly. RSIs are low. It's breaking down here. So that looks, that's nice. That's a nice little bounce right now. Currently, it's not over. It still has a long time left. So don't get too excited if you're watching this. And probably by the time you watch this, you probably already know what's happening. But boy, oh boy, look at this 1 hour candle. Whoa, look at that. A lot of volume came in. Where did it get to? It got to $2. Yeah, that makes a lot. I mean, talk about a level to watch. Oh, look at this. This is what I was going to go into.
So I was going to talk about the 1 hour because I wanted to show you. It's so funny. This fair value gap right here. Look what it did. It went right into it. Gosh, dang it. I was thinking like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good spot. Sometimes it happens like, so fast. But I had this was a nice support level for me personally. You know, I was really thinking like, yeah, but then I saw, oh, there's a fair value gap here too. Sure enough, it popped right into it. So these are all like really good signs for further possible upside here. So this could be just a buy the dip scenario. Not financial advice, of course. This is just how I think of this, but this is pretty clear. I wanted to show you guys here though, real quick on the hourly. So there's this support green. We'll blast through, blast back down, come up, find some support, blast through, resistance, 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 hold. Okay, this is why I thought to get out, me personally. It was holding, it came back up. First, I was trying to count this, and it was really awkward to count it. I was thinking like, okay, maybe that's like a rising wedge. It came back down again, and I didn't like how it come back down, and it really wasn't like wanting to go up. And then this candle came in. I'm like, oh boy, I'm like, this is probably like distribution, right? You got to think about it in reverse. Like Wyckoff accumulation is like people are like selling, and more selling. So I was like, I don't know. I'm like, we're probably gonna have a red week, or we're gonna, sure enough, that was the right thought process. And so at this candle, and then it did this, and it's funny when you get out of a position and you start to see it bounce. Don't, gosh, it's so me personally, your emotions want to be like, oh my god, was it the wrong move, right, to get out, because I got out right here, and it did this little V, right? I got out right here around, yeah, I was like around 260, so it was a little bit lower, and it went down to here, and I'm like, and it started coming back up. I'm like, like, don't get emotional, just let it go. Just stop looking at the chart at that point, honestly, or stop looking at XRP in that case. And I let it go, and then look, boom, and then I think I saw that early this morning. Yeah, I was like, when I woke up, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm like, whoa, it's starting to break through this little weak support here, and now it's becoming resistance again. I'm like, okay, then this was definitely probably the call. And sure enough, it just panned out, right? Kind of gradually. And now, I just want to share that with you about XRP. Overall, I'm obviously still bullish on most of the market, but I will tell you this though, real quickly on XRP to the daily. This was actually the key factor. That was like the local spot where I wanted to get up, but like more of a macro look. I was getting this feeling this was an AB. Okay, it was an AB. And now I'm starting to, when I look at it on the daily, now I'm like, yeah, see all that movement, with the 1 hour, it can play mind tricks with you, right? Because there's a lot of people are exchanging quick, like crazy right now. So, if you're just like, gosh, I don't know what to do, just zoom out here and be like, okay, I think I'm just gonna kind of see what's happening. Unless you want to, if you want to short or buy, it's up to you, of course. But for me, I'm thinking like it's early in the month still. It's only the 9th, and we're struggling with the R1. It's coming back to the pivot is not the end of the world. It's actually probably a really good spot. Will be a good spot for me to look at and buy possibly. So again, the pivot's at 146 level. It's also in this area here where that looks like a 4. So when I counted it earlier, I was like, this looked like honestly, like, what was it again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 3, 4, and then there was like 1, 2, 3. I think it was like 5, 3 of 5. I'm sorry, 5 of 3. So we should, like this is like we're probably looking for a wave 4 here somewhere, because this was like a larger 1, 2, and we got this here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. So anyway, that's kind of why I think this area is the key area. So then what I did was, okay, well then I'll just pull fibs, right? And I know it's obviously, hopefully you guys can see this. So I went from 2, I pulled 2 to 3,
And we look for that 382 level as a kind of a target to start, and look where it pulled it right at the pivot. So again, knowing pivots and knowing how to pull Fibonacci levels and knowing Elliott wave, all these components together make me realize, and I was able to kind of get out on that. And I'll just wait, right? And am I wrong? If it stops right here, maybe this is like a crazy triangle. I don't know. And it goes up, then I'll adjust. But right now, I'm personally thinking, filling this gap. There's another gap here, and then into this cluster at the 382. The 50 also moving average is kind of moving that direction. So could it find the and touch the average, the 50 moving average? Sure. Again, one of those visual things that I like to see. So again, these are just key components here that I hope help you out to kind of identify these things. Zooming out to the daily in this case, very important. All right, I'm going to keep going here. I know it's a long video, so hopefully you guys don't mind it. This is interesting. So Pepe, right? Pepe was a good call. Obviously, it worked out. So we talked about it here. Remember? And then I put the green up. I said this is probably this is resistance, and then I said we should probably look for one more down and then up. Well, that was here, and then that was what I was talking about. I was talking about the 0.5 level. It went just barely past it, and it took off. And I'll tell you right now, that was during while sleeping. So I came into right here, and I was like, goodness gracious. And my emotions wanted me to go in, but I was like, nope, I'm not, because it's at that level again where it's been resistance. So let's just be patient. And went up, and then it did this what do they call that? The shooting star, or I don't remember. Anyway, it had this long wick to the downside. I was like, okay, that doesn't scare me because it's above here. So let's see what it does when it comes back. And then it did these like one wick and then another wick, like a doji. I'm like, boom. The doji was big for me. The doji on the 1 hour, that was a big one for me, because I like the doji because it was almost the same amount of volume as you can see, but it was right at that support level, which I really was looking for to be support. So it was an easy long for me, because I was like, if I'm wrong, I'll just kind of come into these candles a little bit more and then make that as my stop loss. It was a small stop loss. And if you really wanted to, and depending on how you enter a trade, right, you don't want to lose too much money. You don't want to make your stop loss way too low, of course, based on percentages. You could have went with a smaller trade and made your 1% down here at the swing low. That would have been smart too. But I went here because I was very confident. So I had a small short stop loss, and boom, it went up. It was great. That was awesome. And I showed you guys at TWC when I was taking profits. I was telling you about how I moved up the stop loss, and I ended up, getting out right around here, right around Live 3. And this is so funny. So this is what I thought was possibly happening, and now it looks like it is. So, and unfortunately, I missed this, but I thought I knew this was a 3, but I didn't think that this was a 1-2. It was weird on the count, and usually when you start thinking like, is it or not, that's probably a good indicator to wait. So now it looks like a flat ABC, A, B, C. Okay, so that's your 4. Okay, which is great. So if I were to like move this down a little bit, I'm not sure that was there. I must have been just messing around with something. It actually should be right here and right here. So that really far. I mean, obviously Bitcoin's taking a dump, so that went a lot farther than we would anticipate. It's first of all, it's wicking into the hourly pivot, which is a solid move. The one thing I don't like about this though is it didn't get to the R1. I would have really wanted to see it go to the R1 and into the pivot, and that was going to be my opportunity. So I'm going to tell you guys, I'm still a little bit questioning this to be complete, but we'll see. Right now, confidence level is not that great. So I'm going to let this ride a little bit, let the storm kind of blow through. If this ends up kind of sending past this level here, so if like it ends up passing up the 0.00002839 level, okay, let's say that again. I'm sorry, 2836 level, okay, which right now, I mean, it's engulfing now. So yeah, that could that could be it. That could be the flat correction 4. So 5's up here. We got to count it out, right? So it's gonna be another 5 up. So boom, it could come up here, passes it a little bit, come down, and then roll it. That's kind of my thought. So if this comes down to if this passes that again, that level is obviously the zeros and then the 2836 level. So 4 zeros, 2836. So I'll even like kind of like right here. 2836. That's what I'm looking to break. Two 836. So that's my level that I want to see it break. And that doesn't mean like that's my automatic long level. Not me personally. By the way, boy, does that candle look awesome right now. 36 minutes still left. Whew, boy, that was, I mean, that is more and more looking like a buy the dip right there. I'm bummed that I missed this, but it is what it is, right? You don't want to jump into something. What am I going to do? Okay, this is real life stuff, right? Let's say I was starting to get FOMO, like, oh my gosh, this is going to the moon. That's what I'm going to do. What do I see right here? What are we looking at, right? What are we really actually looking at? Looks like a lot of resistance to me. Okay. Look at all these wick. Okay. Should find resistance. Okay. So it's not, it's in my opinion, it's not a good area to enter, period. End of story. I mean, that's just how I look at this. If it blasts past it, then hey, that's cool because that could end up being support now. So anyway, I got my key levels here. I'll post this on TWC here really soon, and we'll that way you guys can kind of see this too. But yeah, that's kind of my thought on Pepe, guys. Okay, so yeah, it was a 1 2 1 2 3 4 5, and then A flat B C now is what we're looking at the moment. And then I got a 5 still to go. So 5's probably going to be maybe right in there. What's this level? This level is 3 3 4 4. So maybe that's a target. I don't know. I'll post some targets though too, so you guys can see that. We'll let this kind of play out though first, just to make sure we got the flat going. But yeah, so you guys can see 2836 level break to continue this 5. Yeah, I really do feel like this is a 1 2 3. This counts really nice, and this was like a nice little wedge wave 4 kind of scenario, right? So that's by the way, that's like almost an ideal wedge. Like boom, 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 and then this little comeback, like this little comebacker and then pop. Those are like great wedges, especially on bigger time frames. All right, so yeah, you can see here. See, had I FOMO'd in, right now I'm like, oh, maybe that's a bad idea. Then you FOMO out. I don't know if that even makes sense, FOMO out. But yeah. So anyway, hopefully you guys learned something from that. That's Pepe. I'm gonna leave that up and I'll post that. Last, I want to jump on Sol. Oh, look at that. That's craziness. Wow. I mean, I pulled these up and then I started the stream 59 minutes ago. And now here I'm back and I haven't seen this reaction in Sol. So I'm seeing it for the first time. I wanted to show you guys this though. This was really important. There was like talks on TWC about, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to talk bad about anyone. Actually, TWC is awesome. Everyone's talking and interacting. That's so important, guys, because that's making our community even stronger. You might not even realize it, because when you go to Twitter, that community is terrible, right? And that's not how we are here. We're trying to build and grow and actually be profitable and not chill or any other crap, right? It's all just junk. I saw some talks about this maybe being a what was it? What did I see? Oh, an inverted Head and Shoulders, and it actually did look like it when it was right around here. I was like, oh yeah, I think I saw it when I was like here. It was just really recent, and I'm like, oh, that's actually a good look. But I was thinking like, okay, I definitely don't want to see it go past the S1. So that was like, you could have maybe in that case, okay, what I might have done, but I didn't have the time when I was doing this video, was if I were to go like long at that S1, I would have made my stop loss maybe below this wick. But boy, I mean, I would have got wrecked there in a second. You know what I mean? So we just got to be cautious. Like again, looking for confidence. If you're thinking it's an inverted head and shoulders, you want to see the shoulder play out also, and then you want to play the break of the neckline. Okay, just a heads up on that. So don't get this is getting cute, right? So if you're like thinking like, I'm not sure if anyone did this or not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. I was thinking like, gosh, I hope you got to be cautious, right? Because head and shoulders are cool. I like when I see them. But if you're trying to go in here and then you're playing the, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, well, look what had happened. You would have got there. You would immediately got stopped out. Hopefully, you would have set a stop loss. But let's say it didn't do that, right? Let's say it didn't wick down, okay, for a second. Let's say it started holding the S1 without the wick. It's like at what point what's more confident to you? This is going to hold, or it goes past the pivot here, back to the pivot, and it starts to come up here, right? You got to think about a little bit like how do you want if you're looking for head and shoulders, like what are you looking for that's going to give you more confidence that it is a head and shoulders? Okay. Ultimate is it breaks it stops here, it goes back here, tests at a resistance again, and then, well, in this case, it would have to break through because you don't want to come back down again. It'd be too choppy. This is already kind of choppy as it is. Another thing too, you don't want to see how this comes down right here. Head and shoulders should be fairly clean, right? This is pretty clean. Right here is really choppy, so it doesn't really give us a clean shoulder, in my opinion. So this kind of invalidates the head and shoulders idea because it's just too choppy. This should have went like more like this is more clean and kind of straight up and down. This is just like all over the place. I'm like, eh. So this is more of a corrective wave, and you can actually see it does get a little bit above. Here's another thing too. Like this got here, this actually went a little bit higher here, so that was probably your ABC, and now we're working on a larger corrective wave here. So again, if you're thinking this, right? I know we talk about this a lot, so do I. Don't get me wrong. I think of the head and shoulders too. I'm looking at, okay, is it a head and shoulders? Well, what's my confidence? What's going to build up the confidence to make it a head and shoulders? Because the head and shoulders, by the way, is a fantastic pattern if in fact it is one, because you measure the head to the neckline, and that's your breakout point, and it gives you a really easy target to follow. So it's nice to find one, but what we want though is like here S1, yeah, maybe again if you put your stop loss there, you got knocked out quickly. That would suck. But finding how does it run? Because remember, we're below the pivot right now. Okay, we were already below the pivot when it was coming here. So if you know pivots, you really need to get above the pivot for it to still be bullish. Because what could happen is it can come to the pivot and they can find it as resistance and actually keep going down. It's actually more bearish really. So, and again, early in the week. So anyway, I want to bring up that it was something that was brought up on in the TWC, and it's again fantastic, guys. We're doing great. Everybody's I've seen some new people jumping in, and they're just like throwing charts out left and right. That is so good. Bouncing ideas off, learning, understanding. It's exactly what happened with me. And I'm not like saying I got it down pat. I definitely don't. But I'll tell you this: what I've learned is now making me money. So it's clearly the right. It's clearly something that works. Anyway, that's what I got today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. I apologize that it was an hour. I wanted to make sure I express all the thoughts in these ones with Square, MicroStrategy, obviously. Ooh, MicroStrategy. Okay, so it's right. It's because it's off market right now. So it's actually finding support in off market, but as Bitcoin maybe were to drop, it might have a. Oh my gosh, look at that! Look at that candle right now on Bitcoin. Look at that. Look at that, right into that green too. And it's funny because I was actually trying to put the green at the bottom of the S1. It hit S1. Wow. Okay, so right here, A, B, C, D would be like the pivot, maybe, and then one more down, and not break down though, obviously. So, and that should maybe tell us that this is a triangle. Maybe I don't know how it would be a triangle because I don't think this is a 4, but I don't know. Maybe the count's wrong. It happens in all the time. But here, you got the pivot here as possible resistance, but you also have this. Remember this Wyckoff distribution. So going into that, there should be some resistance there. Just a heads up. If we blast through it, then boy, it's bullish, right? That's a bullish move. If we blast through this pretty quickly right here, all-time high for sure coming through. Because not only is that the pivot, but then you look at R1. R1's at 106. So yeah, that's this right here. If this closes this way, this is fantastic. Because it's just people are coming to the dance right now. People are absolutely coming to the dance right now. Look at the volume. Yeah, volume looks good at these levels. See how volume is not that, it's high, but it's not that crazy. Like here is a lot, right? In the drop, there's a lot of volume. Look what's happening here. So this volume here at this area, okay, this is high. Don't get me wrong, but look how it's not as high as right here. So this tells me that there's more buyers, than there are sellers in volume. Okay, I like that. That tells me that we're probably reversing here soon. That we're probably reversing. Okay? That's why volume is important. When you see people, I'll tell you right now, you see people on Twitter posting charts and there's no volume, they don't know what they're doing. I guarantee you, they're getting lucky. You have to have volume. You just have to have volume. You need to see what's happening with the candles. If you're trading candlesticks, you need to also see the volume coming into it. To me, it's a no. It needs to be. They go hand in hand. So when you see that on Twitter, then I've seen so many people now that I know how to trade. I've seen a lot of people that don't use volume. Like, why was they following this person? So anyway, all right, everybody, take care. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Obviously trade safe, set your stop losses. If you are trading, make sure you control what you lose, because that's the only thing you can control is what you lose. And yeah, I'll try to see you guys out in the TWC land. All right, take care. Bye.